Let's talk about why it's so hard to just think clearly these days. I mean, we are swimming in more information than ever before, right? So, what's the deal? Why is real clarity so tough to find?
You know that feeling, don't you? One minute you're absolutely sure about something. You feel like you've got it all figured out. And then, poof, it's gone. That certainty just completely evaporates. It happens to all of us, and that feeling is exactly what we're digging into here.
Think about work for a second. You're in a big meeting. The presentation is slick, the numbers look good, and everyone agrees on a decision. It feels so clear, obvious even. But fast forward 2 weeks. Suddenly, all these new problems are popping up, and that obvious decision now seems, I don't know, rushed? Maybe even a little naive.
Or how about this one? You're just scrolling on your phone, a headline catches your eye, and boom, you have an opinion. It feels so simple, so black and white. But then the next day, you read a more detailed article, and you realize, whoa, that first reaction feels pretty incomplete now. The real story is so much messier. And that's the big mystery here, isn't it? We've got search engines, data, all these amazing tools that are supposed to make things clearer. So why does that feeling of clarity seem so fragile? Why is it here 1 minute and completely gone the next?
Well, to get to the bottom of this, we first have to talk about a really common assumption we all make. You could call it the efficiency trap, and it's where we almost always start pointing the finger right back at ourselves.
Here's the basic idea we all operate on. If the information is out there, clear thinking should be the default setting, right? So feeling confused feels like a bug, a glitch in the system that shouldn't be happening.
And so, when that system fails, when we feel confused or scattered, what do? We blame ourselves. We figure the problem must be with us. I'm just not trying hard enough. Or maybe I'm not smart enough to get this. Or I just need to be more disciplined. Sound familiar? But here's where that whole idea gets challenged. This quote gets right to the hidden flaw in our logic. We just assume that our brains are perfectly designed for the crazy modern world we live in today. But what if they're not? Look, there are powerful reasons why our brains just love quick, simple answers. We're rewarded for it. At work, being decisive makes you look competent. Socially, having a strong opinion signals that you're engaged. And honestly, clarity just feels good. It dials down the anxiety of not knowing, it saves a ton of mental energy, and it helps us feel like we've got a handle on things.
And for a lot of everyday stuff, that system of finding quick clarity works just fine. But what happens when we're facing decisions that are truly complex? The ones where the stakes are really high and the ground just keeps shifting under our feet.
This is when reality comes crashing the party. These are the moments where our simple assumptions completely break down and our neat, efficient mental shortcuts just can't keep up.
Just think about a huge life decision, like buying a house. At first, the research seems pretty straightforward, but then you actually get into the details. The neighborhood trade-offs, the financial stuff, the surprise inspection report, and suddenly that initial clarity just dissolves into this overwhelming sea of 1,000 variables.
And here is the single most important point. In those moments, your clarity isn't failing because you're not smart enough. It's failing because the environment is throwing more complexity, speed, and data at you than your brain was ever designed to handle. It's a fundamental mismatch.
We have to remember our brains evolved for a very different world, a much slower, more local world. The prime directives were pretty simple. Recognize patterns fast, make quick decisions, and save energy. Deep, exhaustive, precise analysis wasn't the top priority. Survival was.
And that brings us to the real culprit behind our constant struggle for clear thinking. It's not a personal flaw, it's a fundamental structural tension that is baked right into our modern lives. This is the core conflict, right here. On one side, our world demands speed, to be responsive, to be efficient, but on the other side, true understanding requires depth, the ability to sit with ambiguity, to appreciate nuance, to do the hard, demanding work. And here's the kicker, you simply cannot maximize both at the same time.
So the reason this is so hard is that we're trying to use a thinking system that's built for depth in an environment that is optimized for and only rewards speed. It's a fundamental, constant battle.
And this mismatch has huge real-world consequences. It leads to overconfidence in our first takes. It fuels societal polarization because simple ideas travel way faster than nuanced ones. It leads to widespread cognitive burnout. And at the end of the day, it causes us to make flawed, reactive decisions.
So what do we do about it? Well, the answer isn't just to try harder. That's not going to cut it. The real solution is to adopt a new mental model, a better way of seeing how our minds actually work.
Here's a really powerful way to think about it. Imagine your attention, your consciousness. It's like a spotlight. It can't illuminate the whole stage at once. To see anything clearly, it has to narrow its beam.
This is such a critical insight. That feeling of clarity we're all chasing, it's just the brightness inside that small illuminated circle. It feels complete, but it gives you zero information about what's lying just outside the beam, in the darkness.
So here's the key takeaway. There is nothing wrong with your spotlight. Your brain isn't broken. The problem is that the room you're trying to illuminate has become impossibly huge, and everything in it is moving incredibly fast.
Your mind is doing exactly what it evolved to do. It's compressing information and creating stable stories so you can function without being totally paralyzed by it all. It's an act of cognitive survival. The goal isn't to fight this process, but to understand it.
And that leaves us with one final, and I think much more empowering question. This isn't about blaming yourself for not seeing everything. It's about accepting the limits of your attention. So, knowing your spotlight is powerful but narrow, the most important decision you can make is where you consciously choose to point it next.